great to be back. Congratulations on your anniversary. So wonderful to be here. Twice as wonderful for us because 2 years ago we were only focused on the United States. Now that we are coming back, we are coming to be active in Europe. We made our first investment, and we'd like to put a lot more money to work, and that's why I'm here to tell you a little bit about us. We are one of the largest funds focused on the energy conversion, with $680 million under management. Our money is largely, to a large extent, from corporates, from utilities that care about this, who we work very closely with to help us find, screen companies, and then make them more successful. And that covers the entire building block. We're not necessarily a clean tech fund. We're focused on the broader energy conversion, which goes from mobility to electrification to cybersecurity. And as I mentioned, we are ready to put money to work. Before I want to give you a little bit of a background how we view the world and then how we operate. For starters, many of you, I've been in the industry for 20 plus years right now. I've never seen a time where it was so exciting. I don't know if you recall, we had the first regulation, deregulation push in the late 90s in the US with Enron, flying high and a lot of things happening. We had the clean tech revolution in the mid 2000s. Now it's so fundamental that it's the most exciting time in our industry in probably 100 years, because the world is moving towards the electron. It's moving towards clean electron that is so cheap and reliable that entire industries are moving our way. You have electric vehicles, you have indoor agriculture, all the AI, the mobility, the drones, they all rely, big data centers, they rely on reliable, cheap, high nines electrons. So the world is moving our way to make it a better place, where today we have 20% of our energy consumption is using the electrons, and 10, 20, 30 years from now it might be close to 40%. That of course means that our world is changing, that between sort of where in the past you talked about energy only, but now you are talking to Shell, you're talking to Volkswagen over here, Amazon is coming here, the whole world is blending. So we have a $20 trillion or euro industry that is all coming together, and right in the middle we have the utilities that still sit there with the wires and operators who can be a key differentiator. I don't have to tell you that, but that world is really, really difficult. The laws of physics are not very forgiving. You, for the most part, cannot FedEx the electrons, so you have to work with the wire companies, and you have to understand the regulatory environment. So all of you startup entrepreneurs, I encourage you to keep fighting for it, but be aware that you picked really a hard space. In my past, I worked in defense, in transportation, government, and energy, and I don't know which industry is harder. But sort of our view is to be more successful, you team up with other people that bring more than money into the mix. The sectors that we are most interested in, where we think much is happening, is one is intelligent operations. Think of it AI, robotics, all the stuff that makes the operations more reliable, that hardens it for this intermittent future. Electrification, big topic. You have a great company here in Berlin, or several here. Indoor agriculture, distributed researches, mobility, smart homes, and cyber. And in that category, last year alone, there were 7,376 companies that got $1 million plus funding worldwide. 7,000 companies. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of competition out there for you. About 1,800 of those are in Europe. So that's a pretty meaningful size of opportunity. But the one main reason why we are coming to Europe is we think there's a void for growth capital to support those companies. A lot of enthusiasm at the early stages, but compared to the US, where 85% of the capital is in growth capital, in Europe there's a much smaller segment where it's only 56%. I just spoke with Patrick from EIF. He probably has much better data, did a better job doing that, but I want you to take away, if you are in that sort of growth capital stage, then please come to us. That's kind of our sweet spot. So that's the prime reason we are here. We have, as I mentioned, we made our first investment in Holland in a company called Vericity just 6 months ago. They're a wonderful company, market leader in sort of optimizing electric buses and fleets. We are hopefully making our next investment very soon, and we will open offices across Europe probably later in the year. A few words on how we work, just giving you my background. We are kind of a quasi-corporate financial hybrid fund. I learned my business at GE in the late 90s, where those of you recall, GE stock price, I hope we have anybody from GE here? Probably, stock price was $70, today it's 7 or 10. But they were flying high mainly through money that the capital group made. The GE equity capital made more money than all the operating businesses. So at some point they came to us and said, can you do more with the equity group than just make money? And we were one of the pioneers in corporate venture capital. And we learned fairly quickly that corporate venture capital can be an incredible tool to create value, because for the corporation. Because when you come and knock on somebody's door and say, I give you $5 million, within an hour they tell you an incredible amount of insights that is very helpful for the corporate. On the other hand, the corporate, they can help pick the right company. They can put a stamp of approval on that young startup that looks for credibility, and most importantly, they can bring them revenue. So when you have that model work, you create value for the corporate, you create value for the startup, and in the end, you make more money at a lower risk. That's the beauty of the corporate venture model that we did successfully back then with GE, and we took that model in the United States into a multi-corporate approach, where we said, rather than working with GE Power Systems and GE Industrial Systems, we now work over there with 16 global utilities, most of them in the United States, one in the UK, in Asia, and the collective heft of that in innovation coalition is 300 billion in market cap, which is one thing, but the key number is the 60 billion in capex. That's sort of an incredible buying power that the utilities bring to the startups, where we can go to our investment portfolio companies and say, we can do more for you than just give you money. We help you grow the business, and that's even more important for startups to help them succeed. There could be the utility as a buyer themselves, or it could be, we made an investment in a thermostat company called Ecobee, which where tens of thousands of them can be distributed by the partner. So that's the jump-starting the effort. And then in turn, they help us, as I mentioned before, with sourcing and with value creation and bringing revenues to them. This is the US team. We have about 30 people. What maybe sets us apart, we have a group of about 10 who are former researchers, consultants that are as a resource for our partners, but also for our portfolio to help them maneuver the difficult regulatory landscape, helping them understand why utilities or partners are so complicated and they don't like SaaS sometimes, and they want to buy the product rather than source it. From an investment perspective, we view the world on 2 dimensions. How much value can we add to a portfolio company, which we call the strategic dimension. We ask our partners to a great deal in sessions how we can help the companies. And then secondly, we make the call on financial investment. So in an ideal world, we only invest in companies where we can bring more than money to the table. We like probably more proven technologies, so a Series A would probably not be the best fit for us, but if you have a proven customer base technology and are in the couple of million revenues up to the hundreds, that's where we would come in. And we would put somewhere between 5 to 50 million euros to work typically in an investment. We normally lead, but we like to partner with others, so those of you from the venture community. If we have not met, please find me afterwards. I would love to make a connection there with you. That's just a shot on our current portfolio that you might or might not be familiar with. Vericity I singled out. We're very proud. Our first investment here in Europe. I hope when I come back next year that there will be a page full of European deals that we can brag about going forward. I think time is up, so let me just point out once we made the investment, the key differentiator for us is we go to work and help you cut through the clutter, sort of finding the customers, right? So we have 20 portfolio companies, 15 investors. You could spend all day just making the connections, and our team doing helping the folks here is really going active at that. And last year alone, our team helped facilitate $80 million in business in 12 transactions. And that I think, if you felt that a utility or energy company could be a good partner for you, then come to us, right? So bottom line, when is it worth reaching out to us? You're addressing a critical segment. You think you got something that is proven and is different. You have the potential and the stamina. It takes some time sometimes to win. And you think a partner could help that has those connections, then please find us. We have a contact information here, and I'll be around all day and happy to chat with you. Pleasure. Thanks for your time.